Hello, everyone. Welcome to the True Mind Shifters channel.
In this channel, we share true stories of our own lives to help people overcome fear, shame, and guilt and find more happiness so they can live their best life. If you like these topics, please like, subscribe, and share with others.
This month, November, is the month of a very interesting topic, a topic of word no, right, Eva? Noticing, understanding that word no not necessarily mean something negative. We are taught, conditioned since early childhood to hear word no as a word of stop, word of rejection, word of denial, boundary. And we don't even realize as we're growing up that there's no such thing. Whatever negativity, whatever negativity that is brought in our life is for our own good. The same as the positivity. It's for our own good. That is something new and philosophical. I know Eva is smiling because we just talked about it, but yes, let's talk about when things happen that are negative in nature as we see them externally and what we can do about it. How can we turn those things into positive outcomes? What comes to mind, what I do personally, anything negative that happens in my life, I immediately look for a lesson because that is an opportunity. Some time ago, I started doing that and my life changed forever. What do you think, Eva?
When I think of no, and why we're talking about this is so important, is the noticing of no. If you really, really think about it, when you've been told no, how did you feel? No, you can't have that. No, you don't get the job. No, you're not allowed. No, not yet. You're not old enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not nice enough. No, no, no. It is associated with rejection. And I would tag along judgment. And with those things, we can very quickly move to a place of fear, right? Because if I'm not getting what I think I need, if I'm not getting what I think I deserve, right? No can then bring out the worst in us. And it's so I'm thinking about the word no, and then I also in terms of how it's hurt me because I've been told no, I've been told I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not all a lot of different things, okay? And those are other people's views of what I deserve or who I am. And then there's when I've said no and why I've said no, that I lean on there needs, we need, or we can all benefit from a balancing of what no really means and use no for good. And the way I've used no for good is to help kids not hurt each other, help myself not be hurt. Um, and when, so specifically, I teach at home if you've said no more than once and another sibling is repeating the word no, and it has to do with a boundary, right? Not being hurt or disrespected, right? In that context, I believe no is a very important word that we need to learn how to honor other people's needs. So that's how I think of the word no. And I've had people violate me physically and emotionally. And that's why I teach that idea of what no means. And that I believe no is taught at home and it can get dark, be overutilized, and become a weapon. But and so I don't think that it we shouldn't use it. I want to look at what no means closely with you, and those are, that's just me setting the table for how I see no.
When you're talking about it, especially when you're talking about your wonderful kids and how you hear them say no and how you work or establish boundaries with the word no, something came to mind. When we are teaching our kids to say no and we're talking about boundaries, right? And a lot of people would say, but what about boundaries, right? Maybe I'm wrong. But what comes to mind is, are there any other words that we can try using or think about using that would allow us understand what we're doing and others understand what we're doing? And once again, I'm not saying that the word no is bad. I'm just talking about different situations. For example, I like how you said when you tell someone no, you can have something, right? It could be for that person's greater good. However, one thing, and the second thing, two things that I want to share with you and then get your perspective on that. When we are saying something no as no to kids, trying to protect them from something, right? Are we truly doing the right thing? Unless it is to save their life, right? Wouldn't it be better to allow them to go through whatever experience they're going through, make a mistake, fall, in order to actually learn that lesson, have that experience, and come out of it stronger, smarter, having a perspective? What do you think?
I think it depends, and I think it's a brilliant question. And so, for example, I go to the situations where I'm inclined to say no. It would be at the grocery store, right? And I'm completely open to how do you reframe what happens at the grocery store. And I'm very clear about when we go to the grocery store, what we're there to do. And this is, for younger children, obviously teenagers, it's a different story. But when you're dealing with children under the age of 10, there's a different way you help them understand the context of going to the grocery store does not translate into getting dessert every single time, getting candy every single time, getting a toy every single time, or all of the above every single time. And so there's learning about what it means and what it is not. And I actually believe strongly that when we talk about what something is not, it actually helps add dimension to what is. So I don't have an issue with saying no, this is what we're doing here, and here's why we're doing it here, and here's why we won't do this other thing that you think we should be doing right now at the grocery store. So that's just an example. And I think I don't know how many other parents struggle with the grocery store experience, or wanting other things, or even wanting how time is spent, even is another example. How we spend time, what we eat, how we eat, where we eat, when chores happen, all of the things that, people that are quote unquote good for us. And when you're creating healthy boundaries on something like screen time, right? Or social media, or no, you don't get a phone until you're a certain age, right? the things that we see kids wanting to have access to, and our decisions as adults in their lives, which different people have different views, right, about access to different things. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts around, where I say no, why I say no, how I say no, but it's done with a good intention.
What about the question that I asked of the experiences, meaning that allowing them to make mistakes, fall down, learning to get up on their own?
Because I do believe you learn from failing more than being told not to do something for the fear of failure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you were talking, a couple of things came to my mind from my personal life. My husband didn't believe that it's a good idea to share with kids the real state of affairs when it comes to a lot of livelihood situations and saying no and explaining why. He believed that you should give everything. And I know so many parents, by the way, who say that I had so many limitations in life. I'm going to give my child everything. I have a different mentality, and I always shared with my son all the hardships, why is it a no, where it's coming from, and things like that. My observation after so many years, all of it is not necessarily right. Because there is a very interesting thing that I've learned very, very recently, super recently. There is an absolute truth, and then there is a relevant truth, relative or relevant truth. And those two things are very, very different. They're part of the law of polarity, where the absolute truth and the relevant truth are not the same things. What I'm trying to say is it is always important to look for a healthy balance between sharing everything, because that can create a problem. Not sharing anything, it also creates a different polarity of a problem. It is critically important to understand that we shouldn't give everything, as it is critically important that we should not limit everything. The law of polarity. With that said, I have seen the outcomes of one side or the other. And what I have come to conclusion with is everything needs to be balanced. What we are not learning as we're raised, we're not learning how to balance. We're not learning the concepts of balance because we're not taught that. The whole universe is in constant disbalance. We're not taught the right thing. We're not taught how to be in balance, how to find balance, how to share balance. It is always some extreme. People do too much. People don't do anything. People say too much. People don't say anything. You're honest. You're not. If you think about it, Eva, it's that disbalance. And that is why coming back, because it's our short story today, right? Coming back to the word no, it's not necessarily a negative word. And me 6 months ago would argue with you and say, what do you mean? It's so negative. Not necessarily. Because when you look at being able to learn from a lesson that came from noticing, saying no to someone or being told no, and see positive outcomes, see the signs, see the messages that come with it, we would be so much more happier. At least I know I am already. Honestly.
Sometimes no creates a void. And I will assert that in void, in nothingness, exists the potential and possibility for anything.
The beginning. The beginning.
Anything, 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 anything exists within nothingness.
And that's why people are taught meditate, 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 right? Because it allows that emptiness, that nothingness to be in order for something to start.
And look at that. Another no word.
Exactly.
Nothingness.
Nothingness.
Nothingness. Nothingness in November. No, no, no. I will put a song that I also enjoy that has the
Awesome.
word no in it. But this has been an incredible conversation. And I hope that people do sit with this and hold it closely and don't rush to try and understand, but just think about and notice the no's.
Yeah.
Notice the no's in your life and what they mean and what they create for you, and what lessons exist within the difficult no's for you. All right. Well,
Those are the best.
those are the best. Yes. Well, thank you, Marina. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We hope that this has been helpful, and we look forward to our next stories in November. And in the meantime, we send you empowerment, support, and love.
Thank you, Eva.